Hi guys, welcome to the second tutorial of Java series. In the previous lecture, we covered some basic definitions about programming and Java. In this tutorial, we are going to cover the practical part of Java and also some of the theoretical part as well. So let's start this tutorial. First of all, I'm going to create a new project in my IDE, clicking on next, and I'm going to name my package here tutorial. As you can see on the left side, our package name. Open this branch and right click on the source file. Here you can create a new Java class, a Java file more specifically. Now here I'm going to name my first class as basic.java. So you can see by default we have a class name. First of all, we have this an access modifier, then this is a class, and this is a class name. And remember, the class name always start with the capital alphabet. So here I'm going to comment out class name. So as you can see, this comment is for us human to read. This will not execute when the program will run. This is just for us to remember things, and commenting on your program is very important, so other developer can also understand what you are trying to do and what you are trying to explain in your program. So this is a good practice to comment every time whenever you write a code. Now we are going to write a method, public static void main string arguments, and this is our method. Now remember, we start with a class name, then we have a method. Inside the method we write our code for execution, and this parenthesis actually closes the method, and the last parenthesis closes the public class name. So now I'm going to write a simple code, that is system.out.print Java my first code. So as you can see, our program consists of only 3 lines of code, that is a class header, then we have a method header, and then we have a code for execution. And this is just a simple code. This will print the string, the message on the output, that's it. So let's run this program. This program will run after the compilation of this code. Now you can see the output is Java my first code. So our program was very simple. We created a class, then we created a method, and inside the method we defined a statement. A statement that prints an output, a simple output with a message. That's it. Now we can create many output when now we can create many now we can print many outputs as much as we want. There is no limit, so I can create now I can create one more line. Here I'm going to say hello world. So I will run this again. So now as you can see, the output is there are two outputs. The first one is the first statement and the second one is my second statement. So basically when we compile the program to run, so first it runs the first line, that is our message Java, my first code. After compiling the first line of code, the compiler goes to the second line and compiles the second code, which is again printing a simple message in our output, that is hello world. And remember the semicolon. In whenever you are writing the statement, it must end with the semicolon, otherwise it will not run. Suppose I forgot to write a semicolon here, and if I run this program again, you will see an compilation error. As you can see, the program didn't run, it crashes because of just one semicolon I missed here. So now putting back the semicolon on its place and run it again, and you can see successfully compiled our two outputs. I can print third statement as well, and this time I will print our numbers, maybe 1 2 3, and I will run it again. Now you can see I have three outputs. The first one is the first line of a statement, the second is the second line of a statement of code, and the third one is the last statement. This is a very simple program. In this program we are just only printing an output of simple messages, that's it. And remember, whenever you want to print a message, it must be inside a double quotation. Suppose if I am writing a message without double quotation, it will throw an error. As you can see, there is an error. The program didn't run because I removed the double quotation. Remember, whenever you are trying to print a message, it must be inside a double quotation. Now see, I have put it back inside a double quotation, and if I run it now, program built successfully, and here we have three outputs. So I hope you understand the concept of printing the output with a single statement. And now I think we are done with the system.println statement. Now let's move on to something new. So let's go to the slide, and now we have a term variables. So whenever we write a program, maybe whenever we ask user to input their data, or whether we want to put our data in our program, we need to store that data somewhere. We cannot just type here randomly. Like for example, if I want to save my age in this program, so this is my age 23-year-old and I want to store this in a memory. So in this way I'm not storing it, it is just displaying my number, that's all. To store a variable, to store a value, whether it's a name or maybe a character or a sentence or a number, so we have to create a variable. A variable is basically a location in the computer memory where a value can be stored, and it must be defined with a name. For example, if I want to store my age, first of all I'm going to define a name, that is age equals to 23. This is how we store a value in a variable. But still we need one thing. To store a value in a variable, we also need to define a data type. Now, there are two types of data types. So, there are two types of data types. In this one, we are going to use the primitive data types. So, let me explain it here. So, basically, we have two types of data types. That is primitive data types that includes byte, short, integer, long, float, double, boolean, and char. And there is a non-primitive data type such as string, array, classes. So what's the difference between primitive data types and non-primitive data types? So first of all, primitive data types is a predefined data type. For example, if I'm going to store an integer, a number, I know its size, that is 4 bytes. So this is a predefined. For example, if I'm going to store a character, char, stores a single character, I know its size, that is 2 bytes. So primitive data types are basically predefined data types. And there are 8 types of data types in primitive data types, and that is byte, char, short, integer, long, float, double, boolean, and char. And non-primitive data types is like they are not predefined. Their capacity is not predefined. A string is a predefined in a term of message, uh, sequence of character, but in the term of a size or a holding capacity, it is not defined. That's why it is considered as a non-primitive data types, even though arrays and classes are also non-primitive data types because they are not predefined about their size and also their holding values. So this is the difference between primitive data types and non-primitive data types. So for now, in this scenario, I want to store my age. I created a variable name, that is age. This will hold the my value, the age. This will hold my age. Now we also have to define a data type, that is we are storing a number. So my age data type must be integer because we are storing a number in this variable. That's why it its data type must be integer. So for example, if I want to store a character like my gender, for example, if I want to store my gender on my program, that is M. First of all, I want to store my gender. My gender is male, M, which defines male. It is storing in the variable gender. Now you can see this is just a single character, and for single character we have char data type. We have a data type char which store a single character. So for this variable I'm going to write char. So my gender is male, which is defined by M, which is stored in the gender variable, and its data type must be char because I am storing just a single value. But a char must be inside a single quotation like this and must be end with a semicolon like other statement. So this is how I am storing my gender in this program. So for example, now I want to store maybe something different, maybe my height. So I'm going to first of all I need a variable that is height. Now my height is in number, that is maybe 150 centimeter. Now you can see this is in number and this is a variable that is holding my number, so the data type should be an integer int. This is how my height is stored in this computer. Now for example, I want to store my weight, that is let me store first of all my weight must be, so first of all I am going to create my variable that is weight. Now my weight is around 47.5 kgs. So you can see my weight is 47.5 and it's a number, and this is a variable holding my numbers. So the data type could be integer, but no, this is showing an error. This data type cannot be an integer. Why? This number is holding an integer value. Also my age is holding an integer, but why the weight cannot accept the integer data type? Because you can see this value is in fraction. This is not a number, this is in a fraction value. So for fraction value we have another data type called double or maybe float. We can use either of that. The only difference is that this contains the data of 4 bytes and this contains the data of 8 bytes, the holding capacity. And the definition of float says the stores fractional number, and double also stores fractional number. The only difference is their holding capacity. So normally we can use either float or double. So either way it's correct, and this is how we store our data in a computer. Now what if I want to save a message in this computer? So in the char I cannot save a message because it contains only a single letter. So to store a message, a sequence of character or maybe to so many words or like if I want to store a sentence, then I'm going to use another data type. First of all, let me create a variable message that holds my message like I am a Java developer. So this is my message, and this is the variable that is holding my message, and data type must be string. A string data type contains a sequence of character. It could be a message, a sentence, no matter how many words. It can contain everything, even it can contain a single alphabet as well. So remember, the string message is always inside a double quotation, and it must end with a semicolon. And also, one thing I forgot to mention is that a variable name always starts with a small letter. This is important, otherwise it will throw an error. So remember to start your variable name with always a small letter, and this is how we store our values in our computer. Now another basic thing is that how we are going to show how now I can print these values. For example, if I want to print my age, now how I can print my age using these variables. First of all, I'm going to write my print statement, that is system.out.println. Now if I want to print my age, I'm just going to refer this variable, that is age. Now what's going to happen? Now system.out.println will refer to this variable. This variable will provide my value of age, and the output will be my age directly. Now let me run this program again, and it should give an output my age. So you can see the output is my age. This is how we can show the value of the variable that is holding the value. So for example, if I want to print my gender, I'm just going to refer the variable, and this variable is going to show the value that belongs to me. So you can see it shows M, which means male, and this is what the variable is holding. And this is how we print the variables, and this is how we can show what the variable is holding in our computer memory. So for example, now if I want to print this message, I'm not going to write this message, I'm just going to write the variable name, which will collect this statement from the storing memory. So if I run this program again, now you can see it prints the message of this variable that is holding. So this is just a simple program, and this is the very basic of the Java. This is how we store our values in the computer, and the values can be also shown as an output. The values can be retrieved and can be checked again. Now I can show multiple values as well. There is no limitation whether I can use whether I can print one time or two time. There is no limit, like I can print all the values together, I can print separately. It's just like free to do anything, like you can play around to get more experience. So this time I'm going to print my weight, and as you can see, now there will be two outputs. The first one is the first statement, that is printing the message, and the second one is the second print statement, which retrieve the weight value from the variable, and the output is the same as it is stored inside the computer memory. So let me do a quick revision here. First of all, we start with a class. A class contains a access modifier, then it defines a class and the class name. The class name always start with the capital letter. Then inside the class we have a main method. Inside the main method we can define the variables, we can store the variable with data types, and also we can print the outputs of those stored values as well. The variables start with a small letter always, and it can hold values according to its data type, and this is how we show an output of the variables. So now let's get back to the slide. We have covered this part, integers, variable. Now this is a simple program, as you can see on the screen. This is a first line of code, that is a class name. Then we have a method. Here we have defined a variable with a data type. So you can see there is a comment here, you can read a declaration. Here we define a variable and its data type. So the variable name is number 1. It start with a small letter and its data type is integer. The second line is also a same integer, but it is a different variable with the same data type, that is integer. And the third one is a same data type, that is integer, but it is a different variable, sum. It's just a different name. So now what is happening? The first variable here you can see has been given a value of 45 integer, and the second defined variable is given a value of 72. Now in this line you can see the first variable and the second variable is being added. This is possible to add because both are number, their data types are same, so that's why it is possible to perform addition on this variable. When the addition's done, it stores the new value, the sum value, in this variable, in the third defined variable here, and you can see the result by printing this third variable. So the output will be 117, which is the sum of 45 and 72. So we can do it here in our program as well. So first of all, we are defining our variable with a data type is integer, and our variable name is number 1. The second variable data type is integer and the variable name is number 2. Our variable has been declared with data types. Now we have to initialize, or we can create one more variable with integer data type, and that is the variable name sum. Now we can initialize the variable with some values. For example, number 1 will hold a simple number, just 2, and variable number 2 will hold a simple value for now, that is 3. The variable has been initialized here. Now I want to perform an addition between these two variables. So number 1 plus number 2. So here you can see I'm adding number 1, the variable number 1 and number 2. The output should be 5 because 2 plus 3 is equals to 5, but there is an error because we are just performing an addition in this number. We also need to store the result in the variable. So for that we have created a variable sum, which is also has a data type of integer. So here we are going to write sum equals to the addition of these two variables. So you can see number 1 holds a value of 2 and number 2 variable holds a value of 3. When the additions happen between these two variables, the new value will store in the third variable, that is sum. And we can also see the result here, system.out.print sum. So for now, when I run this program, you can see the sum of these two numbers is 5, that is correct, and this is the new value of our two variables after addition. So the variable number 1 and number 2 still holds the value 2 and 3. Nothing happened to that variable. We can check that. So here I can print after the sum. If I print system.out.print, here I'm going to print the variable number 1, and in the next line I'm going to print the variable number 2, just to show you that nothing happens to the previous values because we haven't made any changes there. We are just storing the addition of these two variables into a new variable, that is sum, which holds nothing. So let me run this again. So as you can see in the screen, the sum is 5, the variable number 1 holds value 2, and the variable number 2 holds the value of 3. So this is how Java works, and also every programming language has the same working. And so you can see this is just a simple program and very basic of Java. So let me go through again as a revision. First of all, we have a class, then we have a method. Inside the method and the class we have defined 3 variables with the data type integer. Here we have initialized 2 variables, and here we have performed the addition between 2 variables and storing the new value into a new variable, that is sum, and printing the variables to see the results. And this is the output of the result. So now I hope this is easy for you. I hope this part is clear. If you are stuck on any part, you can comment down, so I will try my best to clear those issues. So I will attach this slide in the description, so you can go through these slides later for a revision as well, and to master yourself in Java. And this is all the same thing I have explained. And here we have the operator, the binary operator. This is an addition, this addition occur between a string and string or integer, a variable. Okay, so let me explain this part, the operator. So basically, if I want to print, um, let me remove this one, system.out.print. Now if I am printing the sum, you see just a total value that is 5. Alright, you are seeing just a total value that is 5. Now maybe if my friend is going to check this output, he don't know what is 5. He will just know it is a number, integer. He don't know that it is an sum of two variables. So to make it to make it more readable, we can do something like we can print a message as well with a variable. For example, I can write sum here plus variable. So this time I'm printing a message here sum, and then here is a variable that will print the actual sum of numbers. And this plus operator, this sign means it combines this string, this message with this variable in output. So now you will see the single output, but it will be with two messages. The first one will be the this message, and the second one will be the result. So let me run this program again. Now you can see we have a more readable program, more readable output. You can see now we are defining that it is a sum and the actual sum value. So now if my friend is going to read this, he will know that 5 is a sum of a number. So you can combine a string and a variable with just a plus sign, the operator. It will combine these two different things together in output in just a single print statement. So this is all in the operator. Now we have a primitive data type, as I have explained earlier. You can go all through this. I have explained earlier in the beginning. Now in the next lecture we are going to complete a trace program execution. So for now, I hope you enjoyed this course. I hope you understand many core concept of the Java, the basic concept, the important basic concept of Java. I hope you find this lecture helpful. So I am attaching this PDF file into the link in the description, so you can go through again and practice this again, so you can master in Java. So thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this course.